Is it nice coming to the rink today, coming off a win with the guys?
Yeah, 100%. And again, it goes back to finally being rewarded for the work we've been doing, and then ended up on the right side of things. Again, I mentioned that we've done a lot of good things over the course of the time here, just to get rewarded with a win. So yeah, 100%. Coming home from Sunday night, it feels a little bit better.
Looking at the opponent today in Albany, they're similar to Panther City in that they've already played a game this weekend. Now you get to face them. Do you think any of that played into at least the start, the first few minutes against Panther City, maybe taking advantage of a team that was a bit fatigued?
You know what? Again, everybody kind of faces that at some point in the schedule, and it is what it is. I just think we started on time basically, and we were ready to go. And we just had a bit of a fire that hasn't seemed to be there at the start of games in a little while. So, like I say, is what it is, but I also like to think that's on us. We were ready and we were dialed in and we were focused.
What do you think of the collective effort? I know you're kind of speaking to that, but if you look at it, I mean, as much as you could say, Thomas McConvey led the way, well, Connor Fields did a great job, and Waters and Smith put up points too. It felt like a unified effort to get that win.
100%. Again, every offensive guy had at some points, and again, we were swinging the ball very, very well offensively. Defensively, we started the rush and we started to play, and again, we had a lot of transition opportunities. And again, I think the biggest thing for us, and again, the biggest thing for us to hear tonight as well, is if we can continue, getting good stops in the back end with Hutchie and our D, get going forward, and have our O guys go downhill, and put a little bit of pressure and put them on their heels a little bit, then I like our chances here tonight.
Today's your 11th game of the season. You guys are 4-6 right now. Albany is 10-2. Is this, at least on paper, the most difficult challenge yet this season?
100%. Yeah, standings wise, roster wise, again, they're the echelon of this league this year, right? So it's a good test to see where we are against the best. And again, at the end of the day, those two, it's about how we're going to execute, and we're looking at ourselves versus looking at standings and all this sort of stuff. It's we got to do our job, and right from the get go here, it's our focus is that we got to be dialed in and ready to play right from the get go.
When it comes to execution, as you said, how do you strategize for going up against Doug Jamieson? He's won 10 straight. He, for the Matt Vinces and all the other great goaltenders in the world, he is, you talk about upper echelon, he's the best right now in this league. So how do you execute a plan to solve him enough to win?
You know what? Again, I just got to pick our spots and hit our spots. Number one, when we're shooting the ball, and as well, we got to have that continuous swings here, so his feet are constantly moving. And again, this might come into play at some point during the game here tonight. Playing a back-to-back, if we can swing the ball lots and Dougie's moving his feet side to side, maybe does he tire out and sort of slow up a little bit and give us a little bit more to shoot at? We'll see, but it's on us to do, again, see mesh, shoot, hit mesh.
So looking at the offensive end, I mean, Connor's the number one loose ball forward in the league by a lot, and he's played 2 less games than most guys. What is it about his ability to get loose balls and create additional opportunities offensively with that?
One thing, he's always on his toes and he reads the ball well. That's one thing Fields he does. And again, sometimes to a little bit of a detriment, and then we're trying to have him, it's one thing we like to get in his game a little bit better at points where, not every loose ball is one he's going to get. Sometimes we have to concede those and get off the floor for us, right? But he just understands where the ball is going to go, and he reads it well. And again, his mindset is forward all night long.
Getting Curtis back over the last 2 weeks, and now we've seen Thomas emerge week to week to week, getting better and better. 2-part question. Having both of those guys be more of a focal point of the offense, how has that affected the positivity of the offense? And then second part, just talk about Thomas's development as, there's a lot of expectations coming into the season, and now, especially over the last couple of weeks, we're starting to see what everybody thought they were going to see with him.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like our offense has been clicking from the get-go. And again, Niter's in there. He adds us that big piece of responsibility that we needed a little bit there. And again, he's gotten better from week 1 versus week 2, right? And T-Mac, he's getting comfortable. He's understanding, how this league is meant to be played. And he's putting himself in where he's setting some really good hard seals for Fieldsy to get some space. And at the same time, he's finding those soft spots where he and our righties can find them. And again, when you're a good shooter, it's going to come. And right now it's coming.
I'm glad you mentioned with the picks and the off ball, because it looked like Panther City was picking on him a little bit last week too, and trying to draw him in to some nonsense. But he was holding his own and still being physical and aggressive. But he got a couple penalties, but for the most part, he wasn't really getting sucked into where they thought, hey, this is a rookie, we might be able to get in his head a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's smart enough, and again, he knows at the end of the day he's going to take some whacks. And his job is, if we're lucky enough to get on the power play, his job is to score, right? We got guys in the back end that will, sort of send the same message to their old guys, which in turn kind of just hopefully keeps things on an even field. But he's a tough kid. He's a strong kid, and again, he's playing boxes his entire life, so he's not new to him.
2 weeks ago when we talked to you in postgame, we talked about the shooting and just shooting early in the shot clock, not taking smart shots. Certainly last week you saw a difference in how the offense was moving. They were taking smart shots, really finding the openings. What was the difference between the loss 2 weeks ago and the win last week offensively with the shooting?
I think the big thing is early, we got a lot of confidence early in the game where our shots were dropping. And we had that luxury of kind of sitting in and kind of settling to the game plan. And again, letting the game come to us versus trying to force to get something going. So I think that's a big factor. And again, watching that film and the guys, and when we went back to look at it together, was like, here's the plan. This is what you were doing, which was the plan, and we were getting success from it. So again, for this week here, I find Panther City and these guys are very similar, where they're very high pressure. They get up on hands really quick, and they're physical. So if we can have that same sort of mindset and just sort of grind them, and that's one thing I thought we did well, is we grinded Panther City for 30 seconds at a time, and we got to do that same thing here tonight.
I have two more that just came to mind. Based on what Brendan was just talking about, on the offensive side of the ball, and you were even talking about how important it is to get Doug's feet moving, how important is deception as a ball carrier, to get a defenseman to commit or a goaltender to kind of post up anticipating the shot? But how important is deception to kind of lure them into that and then pick it over across?
Yeah, that's a big thing, because again, defenses are set up to get in lanes and make the offensive guys change their angles of shots, right? Again, we talk about it all the time. Be in that shooting lane and make them change their stick level, right? So if you're able to do that and take one more step, now it's you have the ability to swing it a little bit easier with your hands free, and again, now your hands are free and you're shooting around screens versus pulling inside type deal. So yeah, it's something that they work on all the time.
And then the only other question, I'd love for you to explain this, because I love this analogy. Early in the season, when you talked about Thomas McConvey first adjusting to the league, I remember you saying he was sometimes playing himself like into a phone booth. Can you describe what that means and how he's gotten out of it? First, what it means, like what does playing into a phone booth mean, and then what he's done since?
He was just getting really tight into everything, into the center of the floor where there's a lot of bodies, and again, there's a lot of sticks, and he was just constantly setting a pick and rolling to the middle of the floor, whereas right now he's setting those picks and he's kind of sitting soft, which means he's kind of hanging onto the outside. Again, to create a longer slide for the D guys, he's not as easily to check, and again, he's got great feet, so if the D guy is going to approach him on a bad angle, his feet's going to take him, and again, put him in a better spot to shoot, and that's what he's been doing the last few weeks for sure.